Thank you, everybody, for joining. We're super excited to be doing this today, and I'm very excited that you guys are taking time to invest in yourself to get to know a little bit more about Northstar MLS, the compliance side of things and how it works. And I know there's going to be a lot of questions. So like David said, please put those in the Q&A, and we are going to try to leave at least 10 minutes open at the end for questions and answers. If for some reason we do not get to your questions today, feel free to send them into the rules, and I will have the phone number and the email for you guys to send them to. But with that, let's just get started here. I do want to bring up our antitrust policy. This is just a very small snippet of it. Please view it over at the link that you see on the bottom. Antitrust is a very important thing to know, not only for this meeting, but any other social gatherings outside of the MLS for you guys and for us. Be sure there's no boycotting, there's no steering. Please do not have any conversations about price fixing or prices during this meeting or again outside of the meeting. But yes, please review the antitrust policy. It is very important for you guys to know, especially considering there could be antitrust claims brought against you and you may not even know it. So get familiar with that. And with that, we're going to get started. This is kind of our agenda today. There's going to be a few more things added in here. But I'm going to go kind of step by step through this. So that way, again, if you guys have questions, feel free to pop them in the QA. David's going to try to answer some, or Mike. Otherwise, we will get them at the end. And with that, let's start with the power of communication. The power of communication between you guys and your clients, with us, any of that is huge. So that is part of why we are doing this, because we really do want to communicate with you guys. We want you to feel comfortable to communicate with us. And this is the us. So hopefully you can see all of us. I am Tricia Henchen. I am the MLS compliance manager for NorthstarMLS. Justin and Sarah are my other team members here in the compliance department. And of course, Mike, everybody probably knows Mike, and Tim, he's out there somewhere. But we are the ones that you talk to on a daily basis. Some of you on a daily basis, some not so much. And not only just for fines or notifications, it is great for you guys to send your questions to us. We are really nice people and we are here to help you guys. So we're going to dive right in here. We're going to go in. These are some of the most common violations that we do see. This here is a snippet of 2024. Okay, this is for the full year. This is not everything that is sent out, and I will go through the process and how these are found. But I did want you guys to just see some of the most common ones that we get. The pending status, which is also known as the projected close date, is by far our highest one. Now, in talks with that power of communication, we did have a member bring it to our attention, more of an ask to add a banner to this. So when your projected close date is within that 7-day range, we are having a banner put in place, just like your expiration date. So that banner is going to let you know, hey, you're getting really close to your projected close date. Don't forget to either close your listing or push out your projected close date, because what happens is sometimes that gets forgotten, especially for those who have a lot of listings. The projected close date gets passed. And then if it's passed and it's not updated, then a notice is sent. And it is just a notice. It could escalate. However, we'll go through that process too. But that is one of the biggest ones that we see. Every single day we see them. So just know that that is sent as a notice. We are asking you in that notice if you can confirm if it's closed or to update the projected close date. That is all you need to do. That the pending close date banner should be live pretty soon, really soon. It's been in the works for a little bit, but again, that was an ask, and thank you for that, because that will be very helpful for you guys. Virtual tours is another one that we do see quite often. This one, we would love for you guys to send all of your virtual tours to us. We will compliance check them, and that way, if they are not compliant, we can we'll screenshot it and we'll circle it and send it back to you guys so you know what is not compliant before you post it, because virtual tours is an automatic fine. So we don't want you guys to get fines. We truly do not. So feel free to send those to the rules department also. And again, I will include the email address and the phone number so you guys have that. Please, please, please send them in. But what happens there is a lot of people don't realize that sometimes there's little hidden links. For instance, Matterport every once in a while or Vimeo will have their logo, which is okay because it's small and down at the bottom. However, it sometimes is a live link. So when you click on it, it takes you back to their homepage. There cannot be links to third-party sites. There cannot be links for social media sites. So again, you don't want that to go to your Facebook or any of that kind of stuff. And sometimes that's kind of hidden. You don't always realize that that is a link. So that's why, we have seen enough of them, we've trained enough in it that we can pick that out for you guys before you put it on. No branding ever in virtual tours or photos or remarks. There cannot be people visible. Actually, let me rephrase that. People can be in the videos only as long as it's a lifestyle type or video or photo, and it would have to be unidentifiable. So you would not be able to identify that person. But that is another reason why we do at times send those. Public remarks is another big one that we do get. And with that, what that typically is a sort of branding, whether it be your name and phone number in there or stating, call me for further details, call the listing agent for further details, stuff like that would not be allowed in public remarks. When you say call me or call listing agent, that does in a way brand it back to you. So a lot of sellers or buyers, I'm sorry, who see that don't understand how things work. Okay. They're not out there in the business like you are. So to them, even though they're working with a buyer's agent, they may see that and say, oh, well, I'm supposed to call the list agent. So I'm just going to pass by my buyer's agent and call them directly. So that is why we don't allow that in there. It's very important to know that because people do get upset. Obviously, you would too if somebody else was talking to your client. So please make sure if that does happen, you ask them if they have a buyer's agent in place already. We do see the style notice, meaning 1-story, 2-story, or we do see townhome versus single family. So those kind of things, we do have great guidelines on all of those on our website. I highly suggest going checking those out. If you are not sure, Realist is a great site, but always check with your broker too. And then finished square feet is one that we have seen lately. Please don't hang me out to dry for this one, but I know that a lot of people have angst over finished square feet. It is best to not use somebody else's finished square feet. Please make sure you're actually measuring the home. If you're unsure of how to measure the home, check with your broker, or there's some great appraisers in our membership. Check with the appraisers and learn how to measure those homes, because that is a really important fact, and claims of misrepresentation can and have been brought against agents for this. One of the other things that I kind of wanted to hit on that we're seeing more often since the beginning of the year is unauthorized access to a property. There is a blog coming out. It should be out by Saturday that we are doing about unauthorized access to a property. However, what that means is agents cannot go into a property unless they have a scheduled showing, and you cannot go into that property until that scheduled showing time. So if you're scheduled from today from 10 to 11 o'clock, you cannot access that property before, and you cannot stay in later or go back in after that unless you have gotten that in writing and approved by the listing agent. So please do not access a property. I know sometimes it's very easy to do. Your buyers really, really want to go and see a property and you're just in the area. It happens and people do go in there, and it is a large fine. So we really encourage you to get all your showings and make sure your showings are confirmed before you go in. So just a little bit on that one. It's very important. Like I said, we do not want to see you guys getting a fine for that one, but there is an uptick right now. Sellers can also file lawsuits, or not lawsuits, but call the police department and have trespassing brought against you also. So again, big reasons not to enter a property unless you have written or showing time instruction to do that. Also, if you have the approval to go in there, please do not just send your clients in there without you or give your key card or code box, because that is all confidential information that you should be doing, and the sellers are trusting in you to bring your buyers in there. So again, things that seems very common sense, but isn't always followed the way it needs to be. So please make sure that you are following those rules. Clear cooperation is another one, and I am going to go through that here in just a little bit. I know there's going to be some discussion on clear cooperation also. And again, we will go through that, but there has been a bigger uptick. I'm sure everybody has heard the news. If you haven't, you really need to check with your broker and go check out the news on that, which we'll go over in just a moment. But again, these are some of the things. If you guys ever have questions on any of these, any public remarks, photos, virtual tours, anything, please contact us. We really are easy to work with. We are not going to laugh or harass you, and we're not going to fine you. If it's a question that you don't know about, if you just really need to know, or you want the approval, send it to us. We will review everything and anything that you have. One other one that we do get a lot, it's not on here, but I do get questioned about it a lot, is a late listing. So let's just say that you've gotten your contract signed, but for some reason, there's something happened, you just were not able to get it in within the 2 business day rule. That is okay. Send it to us. Call us or email us, let us know, and send us the MLS number so we do know that, hey, I'm trying to get this in there, but this happened or this happened. So that way we know we can work with you on that. And that does happen. There's all different reasons for that happening. So please, again, power of communication. Communicate with us so we can make sure that we can make it workable for you guys. Okay, so I do want to discuss the withheld listing before we go into clear cooperation. And again, there's probably going to be some questions on these. Please feel free to put them in the chat. And then again, we will leave some open at the end for this. But what a withheld listing is, it's used for a couple different purposes. Typically, if your sellers are not ready, they need paint done, you got photos, lots of different reasons. Maybe there was, you were going to put the listing on, but there was a medical emergency, different reasons. That is a true reason why a withheld listing can be put on. But there's always also an office exclusive. Now, before adding it as an office exclusive, please check with your broker and make sure your broker is okay with you doing an office exclusive. Especially right now with the new news that came out with Zillow and Redfin. And if you guys are not aware of that, I again highly suggest you go onto your real estate news sites and check that out, because those are some big happenings right now. Office exclusives, though, can be within your brokerage. Okay, so you have it in withheld. It is not going out to any syndication sites at all. It is not even on the MLS. So again, it is truly an exclusive listing. At that time, there is no public marketing. Okay, and that's where clear cooperation comes in, and I will discuss that in just a moment. But just know that you can have your listing in the withheld status for as long as you need to, or for the whole duration of the listing. It will expire and delete at the time of expiration if it stays in the withheld listing status. So just know that too. But if you keep it in the withheld listing status up until closing, because maybe it is a true office exclusive and you do want to put it on the MLS when it's time to close it, you definitely can do that. The steps are going to be, then you have to activate it and then follow the proper procedures depending on where you're at that time of the transaction. So that is what the withheld listing is used for. Again, please check with your broker always before doing an office exclusive to see if it is something that they do allow. And with that, we're going to go into the clear cooperation. So again, clear cooperation goes in turn with the withheld listings, because Well, you're in, well, the clear cooperation policy would mean that it is not on the MLS, meaning it's in your withheld, because obviously you have your contract and you're not going to advertise that property anyways until you have a signed active contract. So at that time, then you fall into the 2 business day rule, where you have to put it into the MLS within 2 business days, which would then put you into the withheld status. Okay, so when you're in there, let's just say you publicly advertise that, meaning, sign on the property, Facebook post, mass marketing email, any of that kind of stuff. That will trigger the clear cooperation policy. What the clear cooperation policy is then is you have 1 business day, different than 24 hours, okay? 1 business day from the day of the public marketing. So again, if you put a Facebook post out there and it is not in the MLS within 1 business day, you would need to put that into the MLS from the withheld status to either coming soon or to active. That would put you into a compliance then with the clear cooperation policy. Even if you choose not to syndicate that out to the IDX and the syndication sites, it would still need to, you can do that, internet, no. But it would still need to be at least as an active listing within the MLS. There are going to be some clarifications though coming up, which we will put education out there. So as far as when marketing is available, if you do IDX, yes or no. Again, that is all coming, and I will talk a little bit more about that. So again, clear cooperation. If you advertise a property in any way, shape, or form, that would need to go into the MLS within 1 business day. And I know that people are not completely certain of what public marketing is. Again, public marketing is the flyers, yard signs. What we see the most of is yard signs, emails, and Facebook posts. Now, NAR did just pass a little interpretation of their policy that we are going forward with the same as what they're doing. However, there's a little bit of clarification that is needed, but our interpretation right now is this. So they did state that broker to broker communication 1-to-1 is okay, meaning if you have a listing contract, it is in withheld, it is not publicly marketed, but you want to talk to somebody at another brokerage, a 1-to-1 conversation, that now is okay. Again, broker to broker, 1-to-1. What is not okay with it is if you contact several brokers outside of that brokerage. Mass emailing is still considered, or mass marketing of any sort would still be considered public marketing, and that would flag the clear cooperation. So again, 1-to-1, broker to broker is okay. If there's questions on that, please feel free to put them in the Q&A and we can answer those towards the end. But again, this is something that we also have a few questions of ourselves on that interpretation, but as of right now, that is how we are interpreting it. That is how we are going to go forward with it, is as long as it's broker to broker, agent to agent, same thing. You know, I know that question was asked, does it have to be just the broker? But the broker is the participant, the agents fall under that broker, so agent to agent is okay as long as it's just 1-on-1. Some of the key points, again, for this: no public marketing during the withheld status. The 1-to-1 broker is okay, but otherwise, any other public marketing will flag the CCP. And then our process for that is, once we get that, and please know that we absolutely cannot send a fine because it is a larger fine. We absolutely cannot, nor will we send a fine unless we have proof. Everything that comes to us is confidential. That is never known. I mean, some people may be able to take things back to you, but we do not ever disclose how or who gave us the information. However, we do need to have proof, whether it be a photo of the sign in the yard, a screenshot of the Facebook post, the email forwarded to us. And then at that time, when we get it, we do have to wait 1 business day. Again, 1 business day versus 24 hours. There's a big difference there. So 1 business day of the time that we receive proof. Once we get that, we check. If it is not in the MLS, then of course we do have to send the fine. And then it is up to you as the agent, if you do receive that, to please call us and discuss it with us. One of the things we do see a lot of is we send it and there is no contract in place. So if there is no contract in place, we cannot do anything about it. However, just know, again, this is where we highly suggest you talk to your broker, because if there's no contract in place and you are publicly marketing, you could potentially be in violation of license law. So make sure that you are checking with your broker on that. A couple property types that are not included with the CCP or even the 2 business day rule is commercial properties. They do not have to go into the MLS. For rent, not for rent for sale, but for rent properties. And then new developments. They do not have to go into the MLS. Therefore, they do not always, unless if there's a contract in place, they could fall under CCP. But if there's no contract in place, they are not required to be put in. So they would not fall under CCP. Also, if you have your own home and you're doing it as a true for sale by owner, that would not fall under clear cooperation. Again, check with your broker before you do that, because there are different restrictions on that. So you want to check with your broker and legal before you try to do a for sale by owner. Again, I do see some questions and we will get to those, but those are some key points to know. And again, always check with your broker before doing any of that kind of stuff. So this is the newest thing that NAR put out. So one of the things I do want you guys to know right away off the bat is, yes, NAR put this out I think it's probably been about 2 weeks ago. There is going to be a new, whether it be a status or option, there is a new one coming. However, it is not here yet. And I will kind of go through that. But the MLS, all MLSs do not have to implement this until September 30th, because just know that there's a lot to do to implement this. But I did want to bring this up so you guys can see what it's about. And I know, again, there's going to be questions on this, but it is not available yet. So let's just kind of go through this. The office exclusive, that's what I talked about in the beginning. That is truly what we have right now as your withheld listing. You can still do your office exclusive if your broker allows it. And it still is going to be exactly the same. The only thing that has changed with that is that the CCP now allows one-to-one, broker to broker. That is the only thing that has changed. It still needs to go into the MLS within 2 business days into a withheld status. Again, check with your broker and you can keep it in that withheld status, but that's where your office exclusive is. That has not changed. The delayed marketing is what has changed. That is also, people call it delayed marketing. It might be, you might see or hear different names for this, but basically what this is it's going to go into an active status on the MLS. And again, I don't know how we're going to do it yet, because this is all implementation that we are working on. We're working with our MLS exec committee, our board of directors, our legal, and our vendors to get this correct for you guys. It is a process and we want to make sure we have everything in place before it goes live. And there will be a lot of education around this. I promise you that, whether it be we do another webinar or we're going to have blogs, we're going to have a lot of stuff out there, because there is going to be a lot to learn about this. But basically what this means is it will be in an active type status, only available within the MLS. It will not go out to IDX and syndication sites. What that means is IDX is your internet data exchange. That is the data that goes from the MLS to your website or other brokerage websites. Syndication is the data coming from the MLS going to syndication sites like homes.com, realtor.com. Okay, so again, what that is it is active in the MLS. And you can advertise it per how the sellers want you to on your Facebook page, via chatting, a sign in the yard. I don't have the exact policies around it yet because that again too is something we are waiting for some clarification with NAR, and we are working with, again, all the teams that I'd mentioned earlier to get any and all policies together for you. But that in essence is what the delayed marketing is going to be. It is not available in Northstar MLS right now. So it is still business as usual. It is still doing things exactly how you have been doing them. Again, this is called an exempt listing. However, it's exempt only from IDX and syndication. It is not exempt from MLS. Other participants and agents will be able to see this within the MLS once it is put into the MLS. And this is kind of just a nice little chart that NAR has put out. It is really helpful. If you go to their website under the facts section, you can find this, and they have a huge Q&A also. But this is something good that kind of breaks it down. So you can see the difference between the office exclusive and how that works, and then the delayed marketing period. Again, there is going to be a time frame. We don't know that yet. That is one of the things that we are working with our board of directors and our MLS exec team to figure out exactly how many days, kind of some clarification within the MLS world to see how many days it is kind of the going, and then again, what NAR is going to do, or if any changes come about from NAR. So this is a really helpful guide to help you guys, help your bring it up in your meetings. Something that, you know, everybody should probably print out right now, just so they can see the difference of things. But with that, that's kind of a higher overview of what's going on. But again, please just remember that we do not have this in play right now. We will have communications going out when we have more stuff set in place for this. You know, it could, like I said, it could be a status or it could be just an option. But again, we will let you guys know that when we have that in place. And we do, again, have until September 30th to implement this. So even though NAR did say it could be effective immediately, it could be, but there's a lot to do to get this effective. So up to September 30th, but our hopes are to get that much earlier for you guys. And with that, we're going to go into how you can prevent some of the compliance violations and go through some of the things we see. I'm just going to leave this slide here for a minute. If you guys want to take a photo, or if you guys want to write down the rules, email address and our phone number, this is how you can get a hold of us. Again, we are very easy to talk to, so please feel free to send questions to us at any point in time. But let's dig in here. So compliance prevention and best practices. Always be sure to check your data to make sure it is accurate. This is something that we do see, obviously, hence why we get the notices. And we do see this quite often. So make sure that when you are listing with that seller, you know, you go through and you talk with them about it. You're doing the measurements, you know, filling in the fields. Please fill in even the fields that are not required. It is great information to have. So make sure that as long as you are sure you can get the most accurate data, then fill those fields in. That's only going to help you sell your home. That's going to help appraisers appraise out the properties you need appraised. It's going to help the buyers when they're looking for something, they might see something specific. So all that data is extremely important, but just make sure it's accurate. If you're not sure that it's accurate, check with your broker first. See if there's steps that they have for data accuracy. Otherwise, we do find that the city and county do work with you very well to verify data. Please do not copy another agent's listing unless you have been able to verify their data, because we do hear it a lot of times. Well, I just copied the previous listing, but it doesn't mean that that previous listing is always correct. So again, make sure that you are not copying unless it is correct. And when you do copy, please do not do any of the copyrightable stuff, because that causes another issue, but that's for another webinar. Realist Tax, that is a nice place to look. Realist Tax does pull once a month from the city, county, so they're usually pretty up to date. So that, you know, if it's not listed yet and you want to put it in there, You can go right into your realist tax, put in your property ID or your address, pull that up and check out what tax record shows. And again, I can't say it enough. Please send in your virtual tours, your remarks, your supplements, anything you have questions on for compliance check, send it in to us. We will compliance check any and everything that you guys have. We do not want to send out fines. We do not want to send out notices. And when we do send out notices, just remember that it's just us checking with you to verify. Always ask your broker. Your broker is your main person to ask. They are the brains of your operation there. So it's great to have them. And if they don't know, they'll send you to us or maybe sometimes your association for things. Again, we have great rules, guidelines on our website, so please feel free to visit that under the rules and regulations section. There's a lot of great stuff on the website, but there is a lot of guidelines out there. If for some reason you are out there looking for a guideline and it is not on there, let us know because we will work with our MLS exec team or our board of directors, or even sometimes our AAC people, and that way we can get guidelines put together for things that you need to know that we may not know that you need to know. So again, communication, that power of communication is huge. And another option for you guys is to invite one of us into your office meetings, whether it be a virtual meeting or an in-person meeting. We would love to come in and do office trainings for you. We can put it around however you want. We can do a generalized one, that goes over all the rules and compliance, or we can, do exactly how you want it to be done. Any questions you guys have, stuff like that. So those are some of the best ways to keep compliant and prevention to keep the best data accuracy that we can get. So with that, I'm going to kind of go through our NorthstarMLS, the process. We do have a lot of people who do ask questions on how this works. How do the notifications come into us, and how come I don't always get an email back? So I'm going to kind of hit on some of those here, just so you guys can see exactly how it comes to us and how we go through our process. So hopefully everybody can see this slide okay. What happens here, we do have a data checker, and that goes through it goes through everything every night. At midnight, it goes through the whole system. But we also have where people can send in any concerns to us. What happens then is we get them every morning. We come in, or throughout the day, depending on when they come in, but we will then get the notification. What happens is we will look at it. The staff will review it to see if there is a possible infraction. We don't just send them, we do go in and look. So whether it was something the system caught, or something that we were sent to, or something that we ourselves saw, we will look at it. And at that time, if it's nothing, then obviously you're not going to get a notice or a fine sent. But if there is a possible infraction there, that is when the notification is made, and then the brokerage will receive that email. So from the time that broker receives that email, you have 48 hours to fix it and respond to us. Okay, so let's just say you get it and the notice is corrected and it is responded to. It just closes right there and it never goes any further. But there are times where it is not responded to, nor is it corrected. So it will then, after that 48 hours, escalates to a fine. Okay. Once it escalates to that fine, another notice is sent. Well, the fine is actually sent then. And at that time, it would be another 48 hours from there to correct it and respond to us. It is very important to respond to us. So let's just say it gets to this point and you don't respond to us. We don't know that it got closed out. We don't know that it got updated always. We try to check, but again, there's a lot of stuff that comes to us. So we can't always catch that. So it's very important to respond, even if it's just a quick email that says, hey, this has been updated. That way we know to go in and we can close that out. And again, if it did turn into a fine, please call us, because there's a possibility that we would waive that fine for you, or possibly even reduce that, depending on where it's at. So it's very important to just contact us. Okay. But let's just say now we're at that 48-hour mark and it still has not been corrected or responded to. It will then escalate again. Our system will automatically keep escalating these, just so you guys know, the system does escalate that. And then it goes to that next fine. So that way it will be sent out. You guys have another 48 hours from that time to correct that. And again, if it's not corrected or responded to, then it does escalate again. Okay. And then once it gets to this point, to the $500 point, once it's here, you do get a final final notice that is sent out. You have 48 hours from that time to correct it. If for some reason it is not corrected at that time, it will then jump to the office being deactivated. But before that, even though we send the final notice, when we know we're at that point, we do like to send out one more email just to say, hey, just so you guys know, your office is going to be deactivated tomorrow. Please contact us so we can work with you and get this figured out. Very, very rarely does this ever happen, but it has gotten to that point. So please know that one person can shut down the whole office for everybody. So please just contact us. Again, very, very rarely does it happen, but it does happen. And we are very much willing to work with you. Now, if you did receive a fine, okay, and let's just say it goes to your past dues, you do have the 30 days to pay it before any of this would, after it's been corrected. If it's been corrected, but you still have the fine and you haven't paid it, you do have the 30 days to pay that. If it gets to the 30-day mark and it still has not been paid, we do send a reminder email to please, hey, contact us so we can get this taken care of. But at that point also, that would be the only other time that there could be a potential shutdown. So again, power of communication. Let us know, communicate with us so we can work with you guys on this. But this is kind of the reason why we can't always get back to you on things, because sometimes when it's sent via another agent, and again, remember, it is not always a complaint. I know a lot of people think that people are tattletaling. It really truly is not tattletaling. It is somebody looking out for you and your best interest. I know it's hard to think it that way, but it truly is, and keeping the most clean data. So when we get that, we have to go through this process. So in a day's time, we could get anywhere from 10 to 50 complaints or concerns that come in. I like to call them concerns. Please don't call them complaints. I know some people do, but the concerns that come in. So it is hard for us to track back to where that one came from. So that's why in that case, there's not always a response. If you do feel you want a response from something you sent to us, please let us know, because then we will try to keep notes on that one, so that way we know to respond to that one. But again, this is it can be a very long process if it goes through quite the escalation process. So that is the only reason why we would not be able to respond to something. But otherwise, if you guys send stuff directly to us, if you send questions directly to us, anything else that gets sent directly to us, we try to respond to that immediately or within, the next 20 minutes to half hour. We do not like to let things go. Once we do close a notice out or waive a fine, we do send you guys back an email, just so that way you guys have verification that has been closed. Another important thing to know that is when there is the emails that go out, your broker is the one who sets those emails and who gets those emails. A lot of times the broker will have it go to them and then the office staff, but the broker can carbon copy you guys on that. So brokers, just know that if you want your agents carbon copied so they're getting the email, they can do that too. Or you guys would have to give us the approval to do that, but we can do that for you guys. So that in itself is how our process goes. I just really wanted to make sure everybody was aware of that. So that way you guys know why every once in a while we cannot get back to you. But that way too, again, it is about keeping clean data. And with that, we really are in this together. I know it doesn't always feel that way, but the MLS is here for your feedback. We are here to listen to you guys. We really want to work with everybody, and other agents really do work well together. You guys really do a great job on talking with each other, and sometimes I know it's not always easy, so that's where we get brought into the mix, and that is okay. It is not about keeping each other in trouble. It's keeping each other out of trouble, keeping claims of misrepresentation down, because please know that they do come in, and we do at times have to be subpoenaed, or we, have to work with members of public who call and want to know why things are done the way they are or how to file. So again, we're all in this together. So by giving us the information that you have, by sending in things, again, it's not a complaint, it's a concern, or it is just checking to see if it's something that you guys can do yourself. It is okay. Please continue to send those in to us so we can keep the cleanest data for you guys. And again, this is information that not only you guys are using for your CMAs, your appraisers are using. It's very important for them because you want your appraisal done quickly. They can't always do it quickly if they have to search 10 different websites for it when we have the perfect place for it. And again, buyers and sellers use this data also.